Hello, and welcome to another Marvel Snap video. Today we're going to be unlocking the last remaining cards of Pool 2 and put together a new deck to take onto the ladder. First up is Swarm. When this is discarded from your hand, add 2 copies that cost 0. A fantastic addition to the discard deck, and can be an additional power push on the final turn with your Apocalypse. And if you can buff up the power, the copies will maintain that buff, so this is a very useful card. Next up we have Agent 13, a 1-cost card that on reveal adds a random card to your hand. Now this is from the entire card pool and can give you a lot of utility for only 1 cost, and synergizes perfectly with Collector and Devil Dinosaur. Next we have Vulture. When this card moves, plus 5 power. A very powerful tool in the movement archetype, and if you can move this twice, it's an amazing amount of power for only 3 energy. Then we have Okoye for 2 energy. On reveal, give every card in your deck plus 1 power. A nice way to buff up the remaining cards in your deck, but best played early and loses a lot of value the later the game is. Then we have Cloak. On reveal, next turn both players can move cards to this location. 4 power for 2 energy is just very solid, plus it adds synergies to all of the movement cards. A fantastic addition. And our last Pool 2 card is Sandman. Ongoing, players can only play 1 card a turn. Now the 1 power is very hard to use since it costs 4 energy and doesn't get you ahead on the board, but depending on your opponent's strategy or how your deck is built, this can be a very disruptive tool and might be a card that we explore. With that, let's get to building. So here's the deck we ended up putting together. I had seen the idea floating around online and I just had to give it a try. We're actually going to be running a Kazar Zoo style strategy in late Pool 2. Killmonger we have no fear of, because we have a few techs to play around it. One of the big ones is Armor. That's just going to prevent all of the cards in Armor's location from being destroyed. And we also have Sandman, which ongoing players can only play 1 card a turn. Now, you would think with a bunch of 1-cost cards that this would not actually benefit our deck. But the idea is for us to get our 1-cost cards out onto the board early, play Sandman on turn 4, and then follow that up with high-impact 5 and 6-cost card plays, and hopefully disrupt our opponent from being able to play their combo pieces. If they do have Killmonger, and say they want to play it on turn 6, that's all they're going to be able to play on turn 6, which is only a 3-power push, and we might be able to come up over them. Some of the powerhouse 1-cost cards we're running is Sunspot, who just gets so big when left sitting on the field, and because we can protect it with our armor, we can have a little more confidence in it winning a location for us. We're also running Ebony Maw, who can't be played after turn 3, and once played, you can't play additional cards there. A very tricky card to use, but 7 power for 1 energy is just absolutely insane. And if you can pair this with an armor, then you're safe from the Killmonger, and this is just a huge amount of power. There's also a few things we can do to get extra power into Ebony's location, if necessary. We have Nightcrawler, who can just move around and be effective, but we also have Claw, who can put 6 power into that location if Ebony Maw is in the location to the right of where we play Claw. We of course have Kazar and Blue Marvel, just to buff up all of our 1-cost cards and make them more impactful. And then we're running Spectrum, because we have a lot of ongoing cards in this deck, including an extra ongoing 1-cost card. Previously, it just used to be Ant-Man, but Ebony Maw is also ongoing, and Spectrum can buff up Ebony Maw to 9 power. Rounding out the deck is Angela, who's just too powerful not to play and synergizes really well with our 1-cost cards. And then the classic Ant-Man and Iceman, just for a little bit of disruption. We end up having some really clutch games with this deck. We do get a Killmonger dropped on us, but we're able to overcome it thanks to the synergies we're packing. With that, let's hop into those games. Our first location is New York, which is kind of awkward. Cards will be able to move there on the final turn. We won't want to set up our Ebony Maw there, because we're going to cap out the power available there, and we do have the Claw in our hand to push additional power. So for now, let's go with the Nightcrawler. And then we'll be able to follow that up with Armor, and then Ebony Maw. The opponent goes with a Nova and might be able to push a lot of power. This also means they might be playing Killmonger, so that's something we're going to have to watch out for. Let's go with the Armor. And then Ebony Maw will make this quite a lot of power, especially with the Blue Marvel and the Claw. And we'll likely want to stay out of Mojo World, because in order to fill it, we'll have to use 1-cost cards, and Killmonger could completely blow us out. They unfortunately draw their Angel, although fortunately for us. So yeah, let's go with the Ebony Maw. We won't be able to play additional cards here, but we'll have a lot of power there already, and we can push extra power with all of 3 cards in our hand here. They go with a Sabretooth. Ooh, and we have Spectrum. So we might actually be able to get Mojo World filled, because we can move the Nightcrawler out on the final turn. And if they play Killmonger on the last turn, they'll free up a space with their Nova, so we'll be at parity if we lose our Nightcrawler. Let's go with the Kazar. This will put an extra 2 power here, and Spectrum will actually put an extra 4 power here, because Armor and Ebony Maw are both ongoing. And they go with a Forge into a Carnage, so that's going to be a pretty big Carnage. They're going to have a 0 power, 5 cost Sabretooth that they can put back onto the board. And that Carnage is huge now at 9 power. We get Ant-Man, which we should be able to use to cap out on the final turn. Let's go with the Blue Marvel. It'll be more power into Mojo World, and I don't think we need the 6 power over in Titan. And then next turn we'll be able to go Ant-Man Spectrum. Filling out Mojo World, Spectrum is going to put a lot of extra power on the board, +6 in our Mojo World location, and +4 in our Titan location. And they go with a Moon Girl, so they have 2 Sabretooths now, which will be 5 power. Our Ant-Man is going to be 6, 7, 8 with the Spectrum. We do reveal first if they do have the Killmonger. But currently we have no 1-cost cards showing. So let's go Ant-Man Spectrum. And this should be enough to win. Because we could get Killmongered, I'm not confident enough to snap, but we have quite a lot of power in our locations. Alright, and our Spectrum goes up, and we get a huge 11 power Ebony Maw, and the 2 Sabretooths are not enough. Just a massive amount of power from our ongoing effects here, and we take the 2 cubes. Let's hop into another one. Our first location revealed is Fisk Tower, and might be a good spot for our Sunspot to sit in for now. We're not going to want to rely too heavily on Sunspot, since Killmonger can just put an end to that. Maybe we'll end up drawing our Armor. They show an Iron Fist, so they're likely a movement deck. They'll probably play a Craven or a Cloak next. For now, let's just go with our Ant-Man. We'd like to get a few bodies on the board, and then potentially drop Sandman, stopping them from making any combo plays. And there's the Craven. And it's going to get moved into the miniaturized lab, but they don't really get any benefit from the Iron Fist effect. And we get +1 energy this turn. We have 2 5s to play, so let's go with the Sandman and see if we can disrupt them. We're going to want probably at least 8 power in Tinkerer's Workshop to fend off the Heimdall. And they go with a Miles and a Multiple Man. We do get the armor, so we can drop that over into Fisk Tower. And they have the Vulture. They could play a Doctor Strange here, which would move the Multiple Man and the Miles, which would be 10 power to this location, and 2 with the Craven. So we'll actually be able to match that with the Blue Marvel, and then the Spectrum will come up over a potential Heimdall, because that will give us 10 power here. Actually 13, because both of these will also get the Spectrum buff. Here the Sandman's impacting us a little bit by not enabling us to get the Nightcrawler out. Okay, and they have Vision. So if they move Vision here, that'll bring them up to 9. Heimdall would move the Craven in, which would be 11. Which we would still come up over with the Spectrum. Basically, we have to anticipate the Heimdall here. It would get played here, shifting everything out of here. They would win miniaturized lab by a lot, but our 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 plus 4 from the Spectrum should be enough to come up over them. When they go with the Cloak, and we end up coming up over them in the left and the right for 4 cubes. Victory. They had 2 other cards in hand, and were only able to play a 2 energy cost card on the final turn. So we can be pretty confident that Sandman was really disrupting them, and we were able to still pull out the win, even though we couldn't play our additional cards either. Let's hop into another one. Our first location is the Onslaught Citadel, which is going to double our ongoing effects. That'll end up being a great home for our Claw and our Ant-Man. So let's get Sunspot down. We'll be unlikely to take advantage of this extra energy this turn. Yeah, because we just draw 2 1-cost cards. Let's go with Ant-Man and Iceman. And they go with a Deathlock, so we can assume that they're a Destroy deck. We draw Ebony Maw. Because of the claw pushing a potential plus 12 into this lane, we can go with Ebony Maw into Tinkerer's Workshop. We're very, very vulnerable to Killmonger right now, so we're not going to snap. They go with a Sentinel. And then they think they have us beat here. We can play down Nightcrawler. Nightcrawler will be able to move into Tinkerer's Workshop if necessary. The movement effect gets around Ebony Maw's ongoing ability. And they play a White Queen, getting our Spectrum. So we're not going to be able to armor this location, but we can armor the Onslaught Citadel if we're very scared of the Killmonger. Or we could reveal our hand and go with the Claw. But with our Sunspot already being at 7 power, there is a chance that we don't need to play the Spectrum, and even if we get Killmongered, we can just win Tinkerer's Workshop with Claw and Nightcrawler. So let's go with Armor here. They go with a Lizard and another Sentinel. And so there's still a chance we get Killmongered here. So we're not going to snap. But rather than play the Spectrum, now we'll reveal the Claw, putting 12 extra power here, plus the 2 from the Nightcrawler. That'll bring us up to 24, which they're not going to be able to beat. A Sentinel and a Killmonger? No Killmonger, no, oh, and there's the Killmonger. But the Claw puts 12 power into the Tinkerer's Workshop, and we win still, thanks to the armor protecting our Onslaught Citadel lane. What a fantastic game. Killmonger, you weren't quite good enough. We'll fist bump to that. This Sunspot sitting here at 11 power, just insane. Really shows that even though Killmonger's running around, you can still get away with playing some 1-cost cards. I hope you enjoyed the games. That last one was quite the rush for me. As always, if you have any questions or feedback for me, make sure to leave those down in the comment section below. Also, now that we have all of the Pool 2 cards unlocked on this account, let me know if there's any decks or combos you would like to see. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.